Hey, what's going on, everybody? You're listening to the S3 on the Heroes Media Group Network. I am JD, and this is the first episode of the year, rocking and rolling into some great sports going on. I know we got spring training going on. We've got the combine going on right now in the NFL. We've got hockey starting to wind down, getting toward the playoffs, and there's like 24 games left there. Basketball is starting to wind down. March Madness is coming around. Lots and lots of stuff going on in the sports world. Again, if this is your first time listening to the S3, again, my name is JD. I am the host and the director of sports entertainment for Arizona Sports and New England Sports for Heroes Media Group Sports. You can check us out at heroesmediagroup.com, as well as some articles that I've written and some awesome insights, some wicked awesome insights from the world of sports. So today we're gonna touch on a little bit of everything because again, there's a lot of everything going on right now. We're gonna talk some NFL free agency, which kicks off next week. We're gonna talk some Major League Baseball. We're gonna talk some basketball. Some college games that are going on this week, as well as maybe looking into the NCAA tournament. Here in Arizona, we're going to talk some Diamondbacks, some Cardinals, free agency. ASU is taking on U of A here tomorrow in the Valley. I might see about going out to that one. Grand Canyon University has their last game of the season, of the regular season, and they are at Bakersfield, which Bakersfield leads the WAC. So I'm also going to touch on some NASCAR. There's a lot of stuff going on in NASCAR. And as everybody knows, if you've been following me, you've been following the S3, you've been following Heroes Media Group Sports, you know that I will be out there live at Phoenix International Raceway when they are here in 2 weeks for both the Xfinity Series and the Monster Energy Sprint Cup Series. So, again, lots of stuff to talk about today, but I want to start off. Let's start off in the Northeast. Let's start off with New England sports. Lots of talk going on, these days about free agency and what the Patriots are going to do. If you haven't had the opportunity, go to heroesmediagroup.com and check out the article that I wrote. It was a pretty in-depth article on what I believe the Patriots might do in free agency, as well as which one of their own free agents I believe that they're going to bring back. And I also went out and said, basically what I think the market value is for their free agents, not only who they might bring back, but who they might bring in. So there's a lot of going on in that. In my article, I did mention, as did the rest of the sports world, that Jimmy Garoppolo would be traded somewhere. And in the last few days, the Patriots have basically came out and said, we just tricked y'all because you guys have been talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, you guys being like ESPN and Fox Sports and NFL.com, talking about Jimmy Garoppolo going anywhere from Chicago to Houston to San Francisco to Cleveland. And the Patriots come out and basically said, you know what, we're keeping him. Now, this is either a ploy by the Patriots or they're actually being for real. And I've been a diehard Patriots fan since I saw them get their ass kicked in the Super Bowl against the Bears and then get their ass kicked against the Packers. So you can't call me a bandwagon fan. I've been called a bandwagon fan quite a few times, and I'm not sure why, because that is actually where I'm from. I actually do live here in Arizona now because as much as I love the sports, I hate winters. So it's going to be like 80 degrees here today in Phoenix. It's absolutely awesome with a nice breeze. So either the Patriots are looking at it, the Patriots could be looking at it a couple different ways. First off, if they were to get draft picks, which if they put him on the market, if they put Jimmy G on the market, they would get like a first round and like a third round, or they would get a couple second rounds. Looking at what the Patriots already have, they already have 4 picks in the first 3 rounds, okay? And Bill Belichick, yes, he's the head coach. A lot of people don't know he's the GM of the team as well. So he makes all the personnel decisions as well, and Robert Kraft just pays for him. So it's going to be interesting to see because they don't get high price talent in free agency, and they commonly back out of the first round. They trade their first round picks a lot, first, second, third rounds. They'll trade out of those if they don't see that they can get the best player for the most value and not exactly the one that will cost the most money. So, so if they're saying they're not going to trade Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm 50-50 on this. I really do want to believe them, but I also believe that they're smart enough to know, and Bill Belichick is smart enough to know that if the right team comes along with the right package, then I can definitely see them trading Jimmy Garoppolo. However, with Tom Brady, yes, he's the greatest quarterback of all time, and if you still doubt that, you're an idiot. But he turns 40 this year. He actually turns 40 not too long before I turned 40. And I wish I was in the shape he is in, but it's common to know. There's a certain age where you expect certain players to drop off. For quarterbacks, it's around mid-30s. But he's approaching 40 years old now. So the Patriots are basically saying, look, as good as Tom is, and he's going to be the starter, if he does drop off, we already have his replacement, Jimmy Garoppolo. So I don't think Brissett, even though I know they'll keep Brissett on the roster, just in case something like last year happened, where the first two starters either suspended or hurt. But Brissett is not the answer. Garoppolo is twice the quarterback as Brissett is, even though I think Brissett is a little bit more mobile. That's about it. But he doesn't have the accuracy, and he doesn't have the release that the two quarterbacks in front of him has. So he is not the answer. He's a good backup if you need him in an emergency, but that's about it. He'll get you through the game. We already saw, like Brissett, the only other loss that happened without Tom Brady, the only loss that happened without Tom Brady was a 16-0 shutout against Buffalo. So if you can't score against them, and then Brady came back and put up, 30-something points against them, then, probably don't have what it takes for the East. So Garoppolo, for the time being, is staying. The Patriots are saying he's staying. It makes sense for him to stay. But I also believe that the right package could come along from another team that really wants him, like Cleveland, like Houston, like San Francisco, who I think is going to be with Blaine Gabbert this year because Colin Kaepernick is opting out of his contract. And that's a whole other headline right there. I don't know who's going to pick up Kaepernick considering he didn't even win a game last year. So it has nothing to do with his political stance. He didn't win a single game last year. Why would you pick him up? Which is stupid on his part. You're going to make me go into this. It's extremely stupid on Kaepernick's part to opt out of his contract when I don't think anybody's going to pick him up. I don't think anybody's going to pick him up. And the team that does is ridiculous. Not going to happen. Can you imagine if Cleveland got Kaepernick? Seriously? He couldn't win a game with San Francisco, and San Francisco is a better team than Cleveland is. I firmly believe that. He's not going to win a game in Cleveland. All right, so the Patriots also, they came out and said they were going to use the tag on Hightower, and then they're not going to use the tag on Hightower. They're going to allow him to test the waters, which actually goes along again with my article and what I was saying. So let me go back real quick and just kind of go into what I think the Patriots were going to do. So basically, when it came to Hightower, I felt the whole time that the Patriots were going to let him go. Okay, let him test out free agency. Okay. The reason being is because he's going to cost a lot more in free agency. So I don't think the Patriots are going to re-sign him. He's already got his ring. Okay. He's still young, but he's coming off of an injury. So this goes to the point, and we'll talk about this when we talk about the Arizona Cardinals as well. When you have good young players, but they're coming off of injuries. So when you look at other players and veterans, like let's say Adrian Peterson, who's now released, but Adrian Peterson, he had that freak year after the first. He had over like 2,000 yards, and that was after coming back from the year. But after that, he did nothing. He got hurt. So you're looking at bringing in Hightower, who's been hurt before. All right. So I mean, what are your options here as far as the Patriots go? Okay. First off, where would the Patriots be without Hightower's strip sack on Matt Ryan in the Super Bowl? Okay. So I can kind of see letting Hightower go out into the market as a way to award him for his play in the Super Bowl and all season for that matter. Okay. But he's probably going to be looking at about an $8 million a year salary increase in free agency. The Patriots only paid $2 million for his contract last year. That was how much they paid him last year. Okay. And he's probably going to get around the $10 million mark according to the current market value. The Patriots just don't pay that to people. It's rare for them to pay that. Rob Gronkowski got an awesome contract. Tom Brady doesn't even have the highest paid contract. If any quarterback should have the highest paid contract, it should probably be Tom Brady. But it's not. So what do you do with Hightower? You let him go. All right? You want to keep him on the team, but at the same time, you got to look at him as an individual and say, look, if we keep him on the team, we are going to be hurting him financially because we cannot give him the money that he's actually worth, which is frightening to say given the fact that the Patriots have $62 million in cap space this year. All right? But the one thing that I know for a fact is they are not going to spend that on one player. They're not. They're not going to spend that on one player or two player or three players. They are going to spread that out as much as possible and get the most money or get the most talent that they possibly can for their dollars. Okay? So Hightower, unfortunately, you're probably not going to be a Patriot next year. Which opens up either they're going to draft somebody or I don't see another linebacker in free agency that they can bring in and say this is going to be the leader of our defense. So what you're probably going to do is you're probably going to look at somebody like Barkevious Mingo, who's also a free agent, but he played very, very well for the Patriots last year on special teams, made some great tackles, and he's a solid football player. So I think that the Patriots will probably reward him, given the fact that they paid almost nothing for him from Cleveland because it was traded from Cleveland. So Mingo could be getting around about the $5 million per year mark if the Patriots re-sign him, which I think they will, and I think they'll have him as a starter. If not, Shea McClellin was brought in last year from Chicago. And he actually spent some time on the field as well. He played some pretty good snaps last year. So Shea McClellin could very well be the next Hightower, the next leader of the defense. Other free agents the Patriots you're looking at LeGarrette Blount. Led the NFL last year in touchdowns, 18 rushing touchdowns during the regular season. So what you're probably going to be looking at is you'll probably see him return to the Patriots next season. You'll give him a raise from what he made last year, but you'll probably be looking at about a 2-year contract for about $3 to $4 million a year. Okay, he wants to stay in New England. We love him in New England. Give him a raise, $3 to $4 million a year. He'll stay. I mean, he rushed. It's not like he's going downhill. He rushed for 1,100 yards last year as well. Okay, so $3 to $4 million a year, Mark. That's pretty good to pay for your big bruiser. And again, they still have White and they still have Lewis, and they still they got Foster in the wings. But Foster's more of a back a running back that you're going to have as a receiver out of the backfield, basically. Okay. So you're looking at those. Who else we got free agency for the Patriots? You got Michael Floyd. Will not be a New England Patriot next year. He won't be. I mean, the guy is just uber talented. All right. But let's face it. He drank his way to a Super Bowl last year. That's what he did. He drank his way to the Super Bowl last year. He was arrested, DUI charges. Cops found him asleep behind the wheel at like a stoplight here in the Valley. Cardinals, no nonsense. They cut him immediately. Now, granted, I mean, he showed some of that talent in New England. He didn't get that much starting time, but the time that he had, he played extremely well. Especially that game against the Dolphins where he had that crackback block to free Edelman for that long touchdown. And then he had one touchdown in that game where he caught the ball and took it down to like the 5-yard line and then took on like 5 Dolphins and still got the ball into the end zone. So, you know, a ton of talent. But the reason why the Patriots won't re-sign him is not because he's currently in jail. Okay, or maybe he's out of jail. He might be out of jail right now, but he might be in house arrest. He's going to be suspended by the league for at least the first 4 games of next season. Okay, the league's going to step in, and they're going to punish him. So you're going to look at, for Michael Floyd, you're probably going to be looking at a team like Cleveland, which wouldn't be a bad spot for him, and he would be an excellent receiver for them, albeit in week 5. Okay? I can also see him like in San Francisco and whatnot, but I'd like to see Cleveland actually start winning a few games, to be honest with you. And I think Michael Floyd could definitely help with that as long as they get a quarterback. Martellus Bennett. How valuable was Martellus Bennett last year with Rob Gronkowski going out? I mean, he wasn't even the number 1 tight end before Rob Gronkowski got hurt, but he still caught 66 passes, 7 touchdowns for about 800 yards. Not bad for a number 2 tight end. Not even the number 2 receiver, the number 2 tight end. All right? The Patriots are going to let him go. They paid him just over $5 million last year, but the market says he's worth at least another $1 million on top of that. He's 30 years old. So I can see the Patriots letting him go instead of paying him more. And then they'll go ahead and look for the replacement in probably the draft, not free agency. They'll probably look for his replacement in the draft. I can see Martellus Bennett going to the Cardinals, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit because the Cardinals might lose both their tight ends this year. So I think it would be a perfect fit. But I'll talk about that again here in just a little bit. Who else we got for free agency for the Patriots? Sebastian Vollmer has already been released. All right. I kind of saw this. I thought they would keep him, to be honest with you, but he's 32 years old, and he was on the physically unable to perform last year, or physically unable to play list last year, the PUP list. All right. If they were going to bring him back, which they still might, I could see them signing him for a year, maybe 2. And it's not uncommon for the Patriots to actually go ahead and release a player and then turn around and re-sign them. I remember they did that like twice with Deion Branch a couple years in a row, right? So they could pay him a little bit less. That's how it works. The one big guy that I can see the Patriots missing is Logan Ryan. Logan Ryan is going to get paid. Logan Ryan is going to get paid way more money than he's ever been paid in New England. He just finished up his rookie contract. He was drafted in the third round. He only got paid last year just under $750,000. He's about to get a contract for about $14 million a year for about 4 years. Logan Ryan at cornerback is a stud, but I don't think that the Patriots are going to pay $14 million. That's about the market value for him. He's young. He's got good stats. He's a every down player if you need him to be. But the problem is, again, the Patriots are not going to pay that money. They're not going to pay that much to keep him around. So either he's going to take a pay cut according to the market value, or he'll be back, or he'll get cut. The Patriots will just let free agency take its course, and he'll get signed somewhere. Again, not a bad spot here in Arizona if he's thinking about it. I'll cover the Cardinals again in a second. But, yeah, he's looking at getting paid. He's looking at making from just under $750,000 in his final year of his rookie contract to making about $14 a year. He'll definitely make double figures a year in free agency. Absolutely. The kid's a stud. What types of moves can I see the Patriots making? Or maybe what types of moves would I like the Patriots to make? Again, $62 million. $62 million in cap space. Let's say for 1 second that Bill Belichick is actually in a spending mood. So here's my dream list of free agents that could come over, starting with Calais Campbell. And this is because I think Jabal Sheard is not going to be re-signed by the Patriots. So I think that they're going to find another defensive end in free agency, and I can see Calais Campbell going to New England. All right. He's probably going to be looking for about a 4-year contract, right around about $32 million. That's the market value. But I think that I think if Belichick gets into his ear, then he'll say, look, you're coming to the end of your career. You haven't won a ring. We can give you the best chance to win a championship right now. It's exactly what Chris Long just did. Signed a 1-year contract to win a championship, won a championship, and then Chris Long goes out into free agency, right? So I can see Calais Campbell doing the exact same thing, right? Because I don't think the Cardinals can afford him. The Cardinals only have like $32 million in cap space. The Patriots have $62 million. So I can definitely see the Patriots stepping out and bringing in Calais Campbell for 3 to maybe even 4 years, right around the $14 to $15 million mark. Because, again, they don't do max contracts. I think he can get more money elsewhere, but I don't think there's another team out there that is still as ready to win the Super Bowl going into 2017 as the New England Patriots. Okay? So if he wants to win a ring, the option is there with New England, and they've got the money for it. Another guy that I would love to see in a New England Patriots uniform is Eric Berry, former safety for the Chiefs. The Chiefs released him. All right? So here's the thing. If you take Eric Berry and you put him back there at safety, Devin McCourty, who's also back there at safety, you can either have both of them back there, or you can move Devin McCourty back up to his original position at cornerback because of the loss of Logan Ryan. And again, I'm assuming that Logan Ryan will not be paid by the Patriots. Okay? So Devin McCourty could come back up. He was a Pro Bowl corner before they moved him to safety. They moved him to safety because they didn't have anybody else. They didn't. And he's turned out to be one hell of a safety. But if you bring in Eric Berry to cap off that secondary, oh my God, that would be phenomenal. Another player on my dream sheet. Could you imagine? There's actually 2. As of today, there's actually 2 players on my dream sheet for the Patriots for free agency. Okay. The first one is DeSean Jackson. The Patriots realize, yes, they have Edelman, and Edelman's kind of the number one, but he's not a true number one. I want a number one that can take the top off of a defense. And yes, Chris Hogan kind of did that last year, but he's got deceptive speed. Okay. I want that receiver that he's got that downfield speed. And Tom Brady, as of right now, still has that arm strength. As of right now. Which means I'm expecting him to have it going into this season. I don't know about next season because, Father Time has to catch up with the man eventually, right? That's what everybody's saying. That's what common sense says is going to happen. So what if DeSean Jackson could buy into the Patriot way and say, look, I'm over 30. I haven't won a championship yet. This is my opportunity to get one. Regardless if any of these players actually end up on the Patriots, that's basically what happens in the NFL with players. You have a ton of great players that unfortunately finish their career without a ring. And in this day and age, that's pretty much how we define people. Yeah, he was great, but how many rings did he win? Which is kind of sad because Dan Marino, to me, is the greatest slinger in all of NFL history. But he never won a ring with the Miami Dolphins. Never did. So that's why he's not talked about as the greatest ever, because he doesn't have any rings. He doesn't. But he could throw the ball everywhere and anywhere he wanted to. And with awesome velocity to go with that. Okay? So DeSean Jackson could very well, all right? Again, first, he's around that age where he's pretty much done everything except win a title. Second, once you get over 30 and you haven't won a title, you start looking for that title. This might be his last chance to get with a team for one before he calls it quits. And what are the Patriots known for? The Patriots are known for bringing in veterans near the end of their career who want to get a ring before they retire. That's just how it is. So you're not only looking, you can look at Calais Campbell jumping with the Patriots because they got all that cap space. You're looking at DeSean Jackson. And then as of today, you're looking at Brandon Marshall. Brandon Marshall potentially being a New England Patriot. Can you imagine if Brandon Marshall became the new number one in New England and basically having the best year of his career, a la Randy Moss 2007? It can happen. It absolutely can happen. But the funny thing is here, everywhere that Brandon Marshall has gone, he has said Jay Cutler in Denver was the best quarterback in the league, hands down. He has said Jay Cutler in Chicago was the best quarterback in the league, hands down. He has said Ryan Fitzpatrick is the best quarterback in the league, hands down. Except the only exception between those three statements and the statement he can make in New England is he would actually be right by saying Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback ever. So he could, not only can he get to a team that can actually win and use him and allow him to reinvent himself, but he can win a ring. And he could do it with the greatest quarterback of all time. Absolutely. So that's it for the Patriots. I'll touch on the Cardinals here in just a little bit. Definitely do a free agency recap next week for the show. But sticking with New England sports, the Red Sox, unfortunately, damn, this even hurts to say as a diehard Red Sox fan, but David Price, man, According to today's report, David Price is expected to visit Dr. James Andrew and Dr. Neil Elatresh. Elatresh. I don't know how to pronounce that. On Friday for a second opinion following soreness in his left elbow and forearm. The left-hander has logged more work on the mound than any other pitcher over the last 3 seasons. Damn it. Why? We went from worst in the American League East 2 years ago to winning the American League East last year, and now our number 2 is potentially, or our number 3 is potentially done. And it's funny saying that David Price is the number 3, but in this year's rotation for the Red Sox, he is. I mean, you've got Chris Sale, you've got Rick Porcello, and I think Porcello is going to be the number 1. Then you've got Chris Sale, and then you've got David Price. I mean, it's damn it. Why? Why does that have to happen? Good news out of Red Sox camp, though. I love the fact that Pablo Sandoval, a.k.a. Panda, came in like way lighter than he was last year. Everybody remembers last year when he swung the bat in a game and he broke his belt. That means you need to lose weight. He is way slimmer this year. I mean, noticeably slimmer this year. And he showed up early to camp and everything. My worry is that he's going to lose some of that power that he had from a couple years ago. Because, I mean, when people say put your weight into it, I mean, he could definitely do that. But he's lighter now than he was in San Francisco. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see what they do in New England. It's also going to be interesting to see what the depth chart's going to be. Well, not the depth chart. We pretty much know what the depth chart is in New England. I mean, you're looking at Leon at catcher. You're looking at Moreland at first with Ramirez at DH. You're looking at Pedroia, obviously, at second. Bogart, Stellar at third. Sandoval at third. Bogart's at shortstop. Andrew Benintendi in left, JBJ, Jackie Bradley Jr. in center, and Mookie Betts in right field. I can have a ton of fun with this as far as trying to set a starting lineup. If I had to put a starting lineup together right now, I'd probably start off with I'd put Bogarts at leadoff. I would put Pedroia in second, batting second. I would put probably Sandoval at third, Moreland at 4, Betts at 5, probably Benintendi at 6. No. I'd put Ramirez at 6 at DH. Put Benintendi at 7, Bradley Jr. at 8, and then Leon. I would put Leon at 9. Even though I like Christian Vasquez for the Red Sox, but I think the reason that Vasquez isn't starting this year over Leon, the main reason is because Vasquez was injured a lot last year, and Leon stepped up. So I mean, to me, that says that you earned your starting spot. And he looks okay. I mean, it's only been a couple of games into spring training, but the man looks pretty good right now. So, again, my starting lineup for the Red Sox this year, I would put Bogarts leading off. I would put Pedroia second, Sandoval third, Moreland fourth, Betts fifth, Mookie Betts fifth. I'd put Ramirez at DH at sixth, batting sixth. I'd put Benintendi seventh, Andrew Benintendi seventh, Bradley Jr. eighth, and then Leon I would go ahead and put in the ninth spot. Now, when you're looking at the starting pitchers, you already heard me talk about Price and how he might not be there. There's a couple different ways we can resolve this. If Price is out for any extended amount of time, the Patriots could go out and they could pick somebody up and pay dearly for it and probably go over the luxury tax and have to pay extra for it, or you can look at potentially taking somebody like Kelly out of the bullpen and putting him in. I wouldn't put him at 3. I'd put Porcello as the number 1 starting pitcher. I'd put Chris Sale at 2. I'd put Wright at 3, Pomerantz at 4, and then I'd put Kelly at 5. All right, and that would basically be putting a Band-Aid over the cut for now. All right, and of course we've got one of the best closers in all of Major League history at Craig Kimbrell coming out to lock it down. You have to excuse me. I'm trying not to sneeze, so excuse me. All right, so that takes care of the Red Sox. We've talked Patriots. We've talked Red Sox. Let's talk about the Celtics, all right? The Celtics just came off of a huge win against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I am not that excited about it. All right, was it a good win? Yes, it was a good win. Did they go blow for blow? Absolutely. It was a great game. But here's the thing, all right? They've lost like 3 out of the last 4 games or 2 out of the last 3 games. So I'm not terribly excited about where the Celtics are right now. Now, granted, I know we just got Avery Bradley back. All right, it was his first game back, and he did a decent job, especially toward the end there on defense against Kyrie. Again, I don't want to downplay the loss too much, but I don't want to hype it, or the win too much, but I don't want to hype it up as much as everybody else is. And again, I am a diehard Celtics fan. All right. My issue with the Celtics right now is they don't have that other scorer to go along with IT, with Isaiah Thomas. They just don't. All right. You've got people that are good for 10, 12, 15 a game. But when you look at Cleveland, Cleveland's got people that can get 25, 30 a game, a pair of them, and Kyrie and LeBron James, which is arguably today the greatest player on the court. I'll never call him the greatest of all time, though. I'm sorry. Let's see where they're at after this road trip, because this road trip's kind of big. They start off tonight in L.A. Not a tough game. It's a game they should win. What worries me is if they lose, okay? Because they've been losing games against really horrific teams, but then they play very well against great teams. All right? So I think they start off in L.A. Then they're here in Phoenix on Sunday, which I'm looking to attend. Then I think they go to – I think they play like the Clippers, Golden State, and this is all on the road. This road trip is the Lakers, the Suns, the Clippers, Golden State, and then Denver. All right? If they can win 3 out of those 5, I'll be happy, kind of. Because if those 2 losses come against Golden State and against the Clippers, I won't be very happy. All right? Because that means that they'll beat the teams they're supposed to, but they can't compete against the teams that they want to be recognized amongst, meaning the Clippers and Golden State. All right? And again, I know they just beat the Cavs. It was a solid game. It was a great game. But looking at where they're at right now, the last 3 games, I mean, yes, they won like 6 out of their last 10 games. But they've lost 2 out of their last 3. Okay? That's not where I want them to be right now. Okay? Now, granted, both sides of the fence here, looking at the fact that they are currently number 2 in the East. They've got like a 2-game lead on Washington at number 3, and they're only 3 games back behind the Cavs right now. But they've got about another month? I think they got like 21 or 22 games left. Okay, they've got a little over a month to go in the regular season. About 3 weeks of games. I think they got like 21 games left. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see where they're at. But in this next 3 weeks, I need to see somebody else step up and lead this team in scoring, even though Isaiah Thomas still has 20-plus points. I want to see somebody else on the court that's got 25 or 30 points. That's what I want to see. because you're going to need that scorer to compete against the teams that you want to compete with. And I don't see the Celtics having that right now. Yeah, great. It's, check what time it is and all that stuff with Isaiah Thomas. But if he has a bad night like he did when he only scored 19 points, nobody else stepped up in that game. All right? Nobody else stepped up in that game. The team played horrible. So they go as he goes. And to me, to rely so much on one person, you're basically – the Celtics today are basically the Cavs from like 2005, 2006, 2007, where it was all on LeBron, but LeBron kept losing to Paul Pierce and the Celtics, okay? Or they kept losing in the finals, all right? Because it was all on LeBron. Today, LeBron actually has help, and that's why they're winning championships, because he went and got help. He got help in Miami. He's got help in Cleveland, and that's why they can win. There really is no help right now in Boston. And it pains me to say that because I'm usually the most optimistic person in the world when it comes to my team, but I also speak the truth, and that's why you listen to me. Okay? So that's where we're at with the Celtics. The Bruins. Let's talk about the Bruins real quick. I love what the Bruins are doing right now. I love what the young players are doing right now. Pasternak is playing awesome. Marchand's doing great. They have the number one penalty kill in all of the NHL. I love that. I absolutely love that. They've won 7 out of their last 9 games. So currently, their new coach is 7-2. And they went from being tied for 8th place in the East to being in 7th place and 2 points ahead of 8th place, which is currently, I think it has 2 teams tied for that. I think it's like the Islanders and somebody else that's tied for 8th right now. But the Bruins are starting to distance themselves from that final playoff spot, because last year they missed the playoffs, which was embarrassing. Absolutely 150% embarrassing. It was bullshit. They gave up. I'm calling out my own team. They gave up last year. I can't say that right now, okay? You just lost perhaps one of the best coaches in the last decade. They fired him, and then you still are optimistic enough to come out and play great for your new coach. And there's promising – it looks like a very promising future, especially with the young talent that they're bringing up. And Tuukka Rask is playing outstanding right now. I know that I think they just lost to the Islanders, but I think they're still that was their first loss in like 5 games. So I'll take that. And it was a 2-1 loss. It wasn't even a bad loss. So I'm okay with that. All right. The New England Revolution, Major League Soccer, starts today. The Revolution's first game, however, is tomorrow. And they are on the road against Colorado Rapids. I'm actually going to go out and I'm going to make a bold prediction right now. And I'm going to say that Juan Agudelo will have his first double-digit scoring season of his career. He's been a solid player in Major League Soccer since he came in 2010. He's gotten 6, 7, 9 goals on the season in like short minutes. I can see him he will be the leading scorer for New England this year, for the New England Revolution, and he may be one of the top players in all of MLS, Major League Soccer, this season. Look out for him. Juan Agudelo, Agudelo. I want to talk a little bit of New England college sports, but it's so damn difficult because they're horrible. I don't want to say they are horrible. I'm saying my favorite team, Boston College, sucks. All right? They absolutely suck. They suck worse than, it's horrible. It's ugly. It's bad. UConn, not playing very well either. Okay? They're probably not going to make the tournament. Boston College is definitely not. They only won like 9 games. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. From time to time they have good games where they came out and they beat Auburn when Auburn was ranked this year. So that's just stupid to me. And then you play so horrible against all these other teams. It's ridiculous. The only good things, there are a few good things about college sports, especially basketball in New England. On the women's side, UConn, it would be an upset if UConn does not win the national championship this year. It would be a huge, even if it's UConn losing to a number one seed from another region, it would be an upset. It would absolutely be an upset if they did. So I fully expect UConn women to just keep winning, and they're over 100 games in a row that they've won. It's absolutely amazing what they. I lost count. I stopped counting. I absolutely did. I do want to say there's two teams that should be in the – well, there's one team that I believe will definitely be in the tournament, and that's Vermont, which is playing extremely well. And potentially, if they can get an invite, the University of New Hampshire. The University of New Hampshire Wildcats could potentially be in this year's tournament. They've got the record, but have they beat the right teams to get in? They've got the record. I don't think they beat enough tough teams in order to get into the tournament. So I can see them potentially maybe getting into like an NIT, all right, or maybe even a like a college insider tournament. So, but shout out to UNH, shout out to Vermont. I hate Boston College right now, even though they're still my favorite team. I stick with my teams, do better or for worse. UConn basketball is still thriving for the women. The men, not so much. Let's flip from the East Coast to the West Coast. Let's check out some Arizona sports. What's going on in Arizona? The Phoenix Suns finally won a game again last night against Memphis. And I really don't give a rat's ass. Because here's the reason why. The Phoenix Suns have not won 2 games in a row since like January 21st and 22nd, over a month ago. 2 games in a row. They have not won 2 games in a row for over a month and a half. The Phoenix Suns are horrible. Fortunately for them, they can say they were not as horrible as the Lakers for right now, because the Lakers are knocking on their doorstep to kick them back to the cellar in the Western Conference. I feel bad. I feel bad for Phoenix Suns fans, for the diehard Phoenix Suns fans. I feel extremely bad. I do. And the reason behind it is there are some good Suns fans. Now, granted, they haven't sold out a game in I don't know how long. Maybe opening day this year. I'd have to go back and check, see if they actually sold out a game on opening day. But they are in such a horrible spot financially that you're probably looking at like 5-6 years down the road before they even make the playoffs again. Before they're even good enough to be the 8th seed in the Western Conference. That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. All right? Yeah, they won last night against Charlotte. They lost to Chicago. They lost to Milwaukee. They lost to Memphis. All of these teams are, well, Milwaukee's not even close to being in the playoffs. Chicago is a middle of the Eastern Conference type team. Memphis might find their way in. Charlotte is not going to find their way in. And they play Oklahoma City tonight, right? The good news for the Suns is that the Celtics currently play the Lakers tonight. So even if Oklahoma City loses, the Celtics should beat the Lakers. They should. But I don't see. Here's what the Suns have coming up. They host Oklahoma City tonight. They host the Boston Celtics on Sunday. They host the Washington Wizards, currently the number 3 seed, on Tuesday, and then they play the Los Angeles Lakers on Thursday. So they could very well, after winning one game, lose their next 3 to 4 games. It's absolutely, they have not won back-to-back games in over a month and a half. They're horrible. And then to not do anything at the trade deadline, they got rid of some players. They didn't bring anybody in. Nobody that could help. All right? So, I mean, it's ugly. It is fugly in Phoenix for Suns fans. It is, man. It's just a joke. I want them to do good. I do, because I live here and I try to cheer for the local teams. And again, don't take that as I'm a Phoenix fan, because I'm not. I just want to be in an environment where it's exciting to actually go and spend my money to watch a game without there being 4 feet of snow outside, which is why I don't live in New England. I love the fact that it's 75 degrees with a nice breeze outside right now in Phoenix. This is beautiful golf weather. I'm going to try and play tomorrow, actually. But the Suns are just, they're horrible. Devin Booker, now granted, they've got some young talent, but they don't have any older leadership. They've got older players. They don't have older leadership. Older players that are actually leading and scoring and rebounding and whatnot. They don't have it. They don't have those players they can look to and say, okay, how do I do this? Or ask, how can I achieve this? How do I go about doing this? They don't have that. And the older players that they do have, they paid way too much money for. Brandon Knight, what the hell is he even still doing on the team? Because you paid him $60 million to be here. I haven't seen a Brandon Knight highlight in months. It's ridiculous. Then Alex Len, I want to cheer for Alex Len because he's another young player. Just another draft pick that's not doing anything. He's not. Devin Booker, at 19 years old, came in and started to perform, and he's performing this year. Didn't even go to college or spent 1 year. It's ridiculous. The Coyotes. Oh, the Coyotes. There's another team. This is why I start my sports show off with New England stuff. It's upbeat, it's happy, it's great. Now it's like I'm walking you to your grave talking about Arizona sports. But I do have some positives coming up. So stick with me here. After I get past the Coyotes, which you know what? I'm done with the Coyotes. There's nothing positive to talk about the Coyotes right now. There isn't nothing. Nothing to talk about, nothing positive to talk about. They don't even want to play where they're playing. And then where they thought they were going to move out in Tempe, Tempe said, we don't want you. Nice. This is a professional hockey team that can't even find a place to play. That's how good they are. Now, to the positive stuff. The Arizona Diamondbacks. Look, the Diamondbacks have a ton of stuff to be positive about. Absolutely. And I'm actually going to bring up, let me see if I can bring up the D-backs depth chart here. I think that the Diamondbacks are going to have a top 5 offense this year. They've always had a good top 10 offense for the last few years. The problem is their bullpen has sucked. Their bullpen lost them so many games last year. It's ridiculous. And I have credentials. I'm an actual hard card credential holder to cover the Diamondbacks during the regular season here at home. So I go to a ton of games. I go to between 60 and 70 of their 81 home games a year. Okay? So I see them a lot. I talk to the players a lot. First off, let me say that there is no other organization that I have worked with that is better than the Arizona Diamondbacks. And I mean that. And I'm not just saying that because they gave me credentials this year. First off, everybody's friendly. everybody's friendly, from their back office to the president. I mean, they're absolutely phenomenal. They're absolutely phenomenal. Their media guys are friggin' awesome. They're always friendly. I'm a one-man band when it comes to Heroes Media Group Sports out here in Arizona. And basically, I mean, they know me. They come up, they ask me how I'm doing. They ask me if I need anything. It's absolutely phenomenal. I love it. Not only that, but they feed you so well. So well, which is why I'm walking now. I did 4 miles yesterday. I'm going to do some more today and some more tomorrow and whatnot. But you cannot lose weight when you cover the Arizona Diamondbacks, and you are weak-willed when they put out this awesome food. Okay, let me tell you something about the Arizona Diamondbacks and how well they treat the media. All right. First off, I love the fact that their media is wide open. Okay, which means that they open up the glass windows and everything for the game, so you get the breeze, whether the dome's closed or open. You get to hear the crowd and everything. I love that. And I know you might be saying, if you've ever been to a game and you say, well, everybody does that. No, not really. Like when I cover Arizona State University football, their windows are closed, and you have to be quiet in the press box. At the D-backs game, you can cheer, you can yell, you can chant, you can hit the desk in the press box. You know, so you can actually become a fan of the game. And I love that about covering the Diamondbacks. Okay, so the press box is awesome. All right, let's get that out of the way. Press box is awesome. The food, though. This is why I am so weak when it comes. Even if I eat like 2 hours prior to the game, I'm going to eat again multiple times when I get to the game. It's just the way it is. The food is too good. All right. First off, when you get in there, they've got 2 options. You can either get the $5 salad bar, and this is all up in the press lounge. You get the $5 salad bar, or you get the $9 full meal, which includes the salad bar. And the meal usually contains like barbecue beef brisket or barbecue chicken or spaghetti and meatballs, or, you know, something, roast beef, roast pork, pulled pork. I mean, and it's a $9 meal, and you can just load it on. You get that. You get your huge salad, which I always get a big salad. You get your big salad. You get that with your mashed potatoes and your vegetables and everything like that. And again, this only costs $9. Then you've got a little small dessert, which is usually like a cookie or something. And then, oh God bless Cold Stone. If you never had Cold Stone ice cream, you got to have it. And if they don't have it in your state, then you need to travel out here just to taste it. It's absolutely phenomenal. In the press room, well, let me finish. And then you have all the soda and the drinks and whatnot, okay? Plus, Cold Stone has a refrigerator in the press lounge that they just stock with these cups of ice cream for the press for free. So I'm having birthday cake ice cream. I'm having double chocolate brownie ice cream. And it's absolutely insane how they feed you. And so you got that. And then during the 4th inning, every single game, during the 4th inning home game, they've got a hot dog bar or a soft pretzel bar or a nacho bar, all for free. And at the same time, you're drinking all the soda and drinks that you want and everything. It's just, this is why I can't lose weight when I cover the Diamondbacks. Even though it's 195 degrees outside most of the time during the summertime, I can't sweat off enough to lose weight when I cover the Arizona Diamondbacks. But I take that for the team. I take that for the team. I take that for Heroes Media Group Sports. Why? Because I love you guys, and somebody's got to do it. Somebody absolutely has to do it. And so I decided that it'd be me. All right. So now let's actually talk some baseball. Okay, let's actually talk some Diamondbacks and why I believe they are going to be the #1 offense in the league this year if they stay healthy. And I know that's the story around the league a lot, all right? we've got a great team if we can stay healthy. And then you don't stay healthy, and then you're like, oh, if we could have only stayed healthy. The Arizona Diamondbacks are consistently, the last few years, a top 10 offensive team. They, this year, will be a top 5, if not the top offense in all of the majors. Healthy, right now, this is what they're looking at. You're looking at Chris Iannetta, who they brought in. I think that is a stellar pickup behind the plate. One, because of the way he calls the games. Two, because he is probably one of the best defensive catchers in all of baseball. Hands down. I'm not just saying that because he came into Arizona. He may not have the best offense. He's got a good offense. But as far as having the ability to frame and call games, I don't think they could have found a better player among those that were available. Okay. Are there better catchers out there? Yes. Do I believe he's among them? Yeah, probably. All right. So Iannetta is probably going to start at catcher. Mathis is always there, is there as well. But Iannetta is probably going to start. You'll probably see Mathis as the backup or the off day. Obviously, you got Paul Goldschmidt starting at first base. Here's how good Paul Goldschmidt is. He had a bad year last year and still batted over 300. That's a bad year for him. Because during his Silver Slugger year 2 years ago, he batted something like 340. All right. So if he can get somewhere between Silver Slugger and last year, he'll have a solid year this year. 320, 325, 30-plus home runs. Okay? So you got Goldschmidt at first. You got Brandon Drury at second base. Chris Owings at third. I like Owings at short, excuse me. Owings can play third as well. Chris Owings at short because his bat is a little bit better than Ahmed. If I had to put somebody in there for defense, I would pick Ahmed because his range is better. But as far as having the balance between your bat and the defense, Owings is probably going to start at short this year. Okay? Sorry for cracking my knuckles. It's just what I do. Jake Lamb is going to be at third base. There's a lefty right there. If this offense is lacking anything, it's left-handed hitting. It is left-handed hitting. However, they do got Marte, who could probably play short as well, or who can play short as well. He is a shortstop. He's the young kid. He's probably going to be number 3 on the depth chart, which is where it looks like they have him for right now, along with Descalso. But Descalso can play multiple positions as well as Owings and Marte can. And Drury can as well. Ahmed's more of the shortstop guy. So look for Ahmed to get a lot of starts at shortstop, but only when they're shuffling around their infield. Okay? But starting day, opening day, you'll probably see Owings there at shortstop. In the outfield, Tomas. If Tomas can even come close to duplicating what he did last year, he'll have a solid year. AJ Pollock, you know what, man? It's great to see you back. It's great to see you healthy. You were an all-star 2 years ago. A freak accident last year on the final preseason game, final spring training game, excuse me, where you slid headfirst in the home and broke your arm. That was just a freak, doing something you've done thousands of times. And then, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how many times you do a headfirst slide this year, though. And then, of course, you got Peralta and Wright, who's another lefty. So currently, as the starting lineup, you only have like 2, maybe 3 left-handed batters. Okay? That could hurt them. That really could hurt them against certain pitchers. Okay? Against certain pitchers. Against lefties, you want to have more right. Against righties, you want to have more left. It's just the way it is. As far as the rotation goes, I'm impressed just by what the pitching rotation looks like on paper. Because, yes, you have Zach Greinke, who would have won 20 games last year. Yeah, I think he pulled like a rib muscle or something like that last year. and still came out and won something like 14 or 15 games with like 8 or 9 losses. Okay. He should have 20 wins this year if he stays healthy. The pickup that I love is they went out and got the young stud Taijuan Walker from Seattle. Okay. I like this kid. I like him a lot. Of course, I did say the same thing about Shelby Miller last year. I'm going to talk about him in a second. But Walker can be a solid number 2 for the Arizona Cardinals this year. So Patrick Corbin will be the number 3. Robbie Ray will be the number 4. And then Shelby Miller. Shelby Miller has come out and said, you know what, basically he has found his pitch again. He's found his velocity again. So it's going to be interesting. And he looked really good yesterday in spring training. Okay. So, I mean, he looked like the guy that the Diamondbacks traded for. So with Atlanta. So it's going to be interesting. Now, the tough part is going to be in the relief pitching. First off, let me go back to the starting pitching. This year, what I want to see from the Diamondbacks is for them, they're pitching to average 6 innings. 6 innings, not 5. All right, way too many times last year, I think their pitchers were pulled because they basically gave up when times got tough. They were looking to the bullpen way too early to get them out of their mess instead of battling out of it and, actually pitching through it and extending your innings. This goes back to what I was talking to Randy Johnson about 2 years ago. And he talked about pretty much the same thing that he noticed. And it happened again last year. Excuse me. It happened again last year where pitchers were basically giving up when the times were getting tough. Okay. And I don't want to use the term giving up. I'm saying they felt their fatigue a little bit more when the times got harder. And that's normal. Everybody does that. But you need to be able to dig down and get past that. But what I remember Randy Johnson saying was when he was talking to Hall of Famer Warren Spahn, Hall of Fame pitcher Warren Spahn. And Warren Spahn asked him, I believe the question was, what are you so proud of? Okay. From, your career so far. And this is when he was still pitching. And it was that season where Johnson had just pitched something like 270, 275, 280 innings or something like that. And he said that's what he was most proud of, right? He told Randy Johnson, he said Randy Johnson told Warren Spahn that was the one thing that he was most proud of that year was that he had the ability to go 275, 280 innings, which he hadn't really done that before. And Warren Spahn basically put his hand on Randy's shoulder and said, son, I pitched over 300 innings every single year. And that hit Randy, which is why Randy Johnson is currently an advisor for the pitching staff for the Arizona Diamondbacks because he wants to instill that mindset into the pitchers where when times start to get tough, you don't just look into the bullpen. You look into yourself, okay? Let the manager worry about pulling you out, okay, when he feels it's time, all right? You do not make that decision. You cannot have already made that decision that it's time for you to come out when you haven't even come out yet. Okay, you have to dig down. That's the one thing that I think has hindered, the one main thing that I think has hindered the Arizona Diamondbacks pitchers in the past is they have looked to come out of the game way earlier than they possibly could have. Way earlier than they possibly could have. They could have pitched an extra inning or maybe an extra 2 innings. But when times got tough, instead of digging down and finding their best stuff, they basically just gave up another hit, and was pulled. All right? They basically made it to where the manager, Chip Hale, last year, who lost his job, they made it to where Chip Hale didn't have a choice. He had to pull him. All right? If the pitchers can dig down and pitch deeper, if they can pitch into the 6th, into the 7th inning, which would be ideal. If they can get into the 7th inning and only leave that bullpen an inning to an inning and a third to actually hold their lead, then Fernando Rodney can come in. Even at 40 years old, I believe Fernando Rodney is still one of the top one of the top closers in the game. It's going to be interesting to see where he'll be toward the end of the season at 40. But if the pitching staff doesn't step up, he's not going to have that many opportunities anyway. Pitching staff has to step up, and that starts with the little guy, probably the smallest guy, the lightest guy in the rotation. That starts with Zach Greinke. Greinke has to come out and pitch like he's trying to win the Cy Young again. All right. Granted, last year, I think, again, he would have won 20 games if he didn't get injured. But that's one of those what-if things, and you can't do anything about those. This year, he's healthy. He needs to come out and pitch. He needs to lead that starting rotation. That's what he's there for. He is undoubtedly the ace of the Diamondbacks rotation. Okay? And he's lead by example. That's what they're paying him for. That's why they paid him over $200 million. Right? Injuries happen. I know that, so I'm not too worried about it. But if you're healthy, you need to be a leader, and that's what they're looking for. Again, I'm predicting the Arizona Diamondbacks to have a top 5 offense this year, staying healthy, and I'm predicting the starting pitchers to be, let's say, ERA. I think if they could be top 12 to 15, that would be a huge improvement. Huge improvement. That easily, with a top offense, with a top 10 offense, and a top 10 to 15 pitching staff, that means you're in contention to win the NL West. Okay? That means that you are in contention to win the NL West. You gotta believe. Gotta believe, man. So that's for the Diamondbacks. Let's look at the Cardinals. Look, it's exciting that Fitzgerald and Palmer are back again, but they're back for like 1 year. All right, Cardinals fans, let's not get terribly excited. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that has to happen in the preseason. I'm going to talk about this more next week because I want to see – I have an idea what the Patriots are going to do, which is why I did the Patriots first, and I actually wrote the article on them first for this week. I'm going to do an article on Monday on the Arizona Cardinals and where I think that they will go for free agency, which starts – technically it starts on the 7th, but you can't sign anybody until the 9th for unrestricted free agents. Okay? They have $35 million in cap space to work with. They might have to find a couple tight ends. I think they'll lose both their tight ends in free agency. However, again, I think New England is just going to let Martellus Bennett walk, and I think they're going to go after that tight end from Alabama in the draft. So Martellus Bennett could very well be an Arizona Cardinal next season. Could very, very well be an Arizona Cardinal next season. He's won his ring. You know what? You don't have to play in cold weather anymore, bud. You can come down here and play in the dome. It's nice down here during football season. College basketball, Arizona Wildcats take on ASU tomorrow. It's been a few years since ASU actually beat Arizona, but it was at home, and yes, they stormed the court. I don't see it happening this season. I do not see it happening this season. No way. Arizona's too good. ASU's not that good. Okay? ASU is way better than my team, Boston College. Way better. But they're not the Arizona Wildcats. Arizona Wildcats own, for the moment, basketball in the state of Arizona. The number one basketball team in Phoenix is Grand Canyon University. Dan Marley has got that team playing outstanding. They're currently third in the WAC, but they've won 21 games. They're 21-9. Their final regular season game is tomorrow, which is why I'm wearing GCU. I am actually a Lope. Get my master's through them. Eventually, I'll finish I've been talking about finishing it for a while. I got like 4 classes left. But I love the environment. I love the sports environment. I remember when Coach K and Duke came here this season. Coach K said that there probably are not many more basketball venues that are as exciting to play in than Grand Canyon University Arena. And it is a fantastic place to go watch a basketball game. Whatever tournament the Lopes end up in, because they are in their final year of probation. And they didn't do anything wrong. Their probation, for those of you that don't know, they jumped into Division I 4 years ago. You have to be on probation for 4 years when you first join Division I before you can jump into the national tournament. Okay. Dan Marley, I sat there feet from the guy as a Grand Canyon University employee when he said within 5 years, Grand Canyon University will be a top 25 basketball team. And he's still got 3 years left. I heard him say that 2 years ago. He's still got 3 years left, and they're already posting records like 21-9. They're already beating everybody else in their division. They're not winning the division yet, but they have beat like New Mexico State. Okay. They have beat UCB. They have beat Bakersfield in the past. They only lost to Bakersfield by 2 earlier on this season at home. Now they're on the road playing Bakersfield tomorrow for the final regular season game. So they'll be in a tournament, whether they'll be in the College Insider Tournament or another tournament out there. They'll be in another tournament, but they will not be able to be in the national tournament for the championship game. All right. Switching gears, literally, to NASCAR. All right. I love the new rules. I saw all over social media, Facebook, Twitter. Yeah. People hate the new rules. I love the new. I am one of the few that love the new racing rules that breaks the race into 3 segments. Basically, I'm not going to give you word to word. Let me give you an idea what it is if you don't know what it is. Instead of just going from green flag to checkered flag, you go from green flag to checkered flag to green flag to checkered flag to green flag to checkered flag. Each race has 3 racing segments. Whoever is leading, now each segment is 25 to 30% of the race. The first 2 segments are 25 to 30% of the race. Okay? Whoever is leading at the end of the first segment, you get points for positions 1 through 10. 10 points all the way down to 1. Okay? There will be a regular season champion crowned before you go into the playoffs. So for the winner of each segment, you get 10 points. Okay? Plus, you get 1 playoff point if you win that segment. Okay? And then the winner of the race, you get your playoff point, but you also get an additional 5 bonus points. And then it goes for like 40 points down to 35, 34, 33, 32, 31, all the way down to 1 point for last place, or however much last place is. Okay? So that's pretty much how it is. Some people say that they hate it and it's not real racing. I think that it is real racing, and this is why. Because it makes drivers drive hard the entire race. What I hate when I would watch racing, my plan actually, when I watched NASCAR, if I wasn't watching it live out here at PIR, I would turn it on, watch the first 30 or 40 laps, take a nap, wake up with about 30 or 40 laps left, and then I would watch the rest of the race because that's all I really needed to see. Really, that's all I really needed to see. Now, I get to watch the entire race. Now I get to see the fact that Danica Patrick picked up 6 points. I'm a Danica Patrick fan. She's not my favorite driver, but I am a fan because I think she's got way more talent than a lot of people give her credit for. Okay? And it showed last week. She was racing head-to-head all race with the best racers on the course. She finished 10th in the first segment. She finished 5th in the second segment and then got washed up in the wreck from Kyle Busch blowing a tire. All right. And that's where a lot of fans came in and said this segment causes too many wrecks. No. Kyle Busch running over something on the track, blowing his tire is what caused that wreck. And he was in front of the leaders. That's why Dale Earnhardt Jr., who was leading the race, got caught up in that. I love the fact that if you have to take your car to the garage, you are out of the race. You are. There is no way you can take your car to the garage and come back and compete to win the race. You can't. You're not going to go back there for 15, 20 laps, rebuild your car, and then get it back out on the track. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. Why be out there? I'm cheering for you, but you're 40 laps behind. Why? Call it a day. Start your trip, to wherever. Last week when they wrecked, they were already talking about starting their trip to Atlanta. I like that. Breaks down on traffic. So I love the new format. Even though last week, every one of my fantasy drivers crashed. Kyle Busch, Dale Jr., Kevin Harvick, Reagan, and Danica Patrick. All wrecked. And I still loved the race. I did. And then toward the end of the race, yeah, there were quite a few cars missing, but that was some of the best racing that I saw the entire race. They were switching positions left and right. And you know what? Kudos to Kurt Busch for winning the Daytona 500. It's a stellar start. Not only is it a stellar start for him, but it's a stellar start to the season for Monster Energy as the official sponsor of NASCAR for this year. That is an awesome thing because Kurt Busch is sponsored by Monster. All right? And you can't say that it's rigged and it's fixed or whatnot because there ain't no way in hell that they would have let him pass if they could have stopped him. He did a pretty good move to pass. And he did a great job holding everybody else off. So it was a great race. I look forward to more this weekend when they're in Atlanta. So my pick for this weekend for Atlanta, I'm going to go Harvick this week. I'm going to go Kevin Harvick or Kyle Busch. Either way, both of them are on my team anyway. So it doesn't matter. But I'll cheer for them. All right. Other than that, don't forget to play Fire Fan. If you haven't checked out Fire Fan yet, it's a great way to win tokens, free tokens to actually go ahead and cash in for different rewards like discounts on like jerseys and like Papa John's pizza and gift cards and Make-A-Wish donations. And there's just a ton of stuff. If you want to try out FireFan, go ahead and download FireFan. Use the code JD Sports because if you do, you get a free like 18 tokens. All right. And then you can get up to 6 tokens free every day, which I do. I take full advantage of my 6 free tokens every day just by watching 6 quick ads. So it's real simple. So you can actually play for free to earn tickets for stuff that you don't have to pay for. So it works pretty good. Download FireFan today. Check it out. Have some fun. Invite your friends. And, let me know that you're on there. Check out the HMG Sports League. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's it for the S3. It's been a while since I've had a show. So I know I went a while, but it was still pretty damn good. I had fun. Look forward to the next episode next week. And we'll talk more. Also look forward to the article for the Arizona Cardinals on the Heroes Media Group website, www.heroesmediagroup.com. I'll get that set up for you this weekend, and you will see it on the website on Monday as far as what I think the Cardinals are going to do in free agency moving forward. So that's pretty much it for me, guys. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day. God bless. I will talk to you guys later.